and welcome to another episode of Okay Real Quick. I'm your host, Tameka Monae, and today is a special show I wanted to really put up for you guys. As many of you may not know, May was National Mental Health Awareness Month, and I have a special guest named Noemi.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Noemi has her own YouTube page, which is
Get Ready with Emmy.
Get Ready with Emmy
At YouTube.
On YouTube. And she why I brought you here, I'm gonna have you introduce yourself in a second, but why I brought you is because you normally do a lot of makeup and tutorials and stuff like that, but you really took the time out to dedicate an entire week to mental health. And I thought that was so I kind of just really was like, oh, finally somebody's talking about this.
Yeah.
And and it was cool because coming from somebody that I actually know, I felt like it was more refreshing. So before we get into that, just introduce yourself, tell people who you are, what you do.
Well, my name is Emmy, and I mean, I'm not a professional. Let me just preface this by saying I am not a professional. I am just a regular human being that, like many people, or like the majority of people, I would think in the country, suffers from mental health issues. My YouTube channel, like Tameka said, does focus mainly on the beauty products, but for last week, I believe it was, I decided to focus it on mental health because it is something that I'm really passionate about, and I believe that even though it is something that a lot of people suffer from, there is still very much a stigma around that topic.
So let's start. So you basically did a whole entire week, and every day you kind of touched on different things.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for that, because it was really deep for me, because finally it's like in the Black and Latino community, talking about mental health and talking about therapy and depression and anxiety is something that you don't talk about.
Yeah, and not only that, but also people our age. I mean, for those of you who don't know, we are in our 30s. We don't look it, but we are.
Able.
And I feel like a lot, starting from our generation and up, because we were people who I feel like we were the people who grew up in the middle of not having internet and then having internet.
Yeah.
So literally. We were in that middle, and then we never grew up exposed to people talking about these things, and our parents didn't know anything about it.
And if you did, it's like you were crazy, or
exactly
you don't know what you're talking about, or
like you were over dramatic. You were this and that. So we grew up probably with a lot of issues that none of us knew what it was and how to deal with it. So then now we're at this age when we're supposed to be expected to perform at a certain level and have certain things, we're falling short to these expectations that have been built up on us since we're kids. And that's why you see a lot of people at our age that are just underperforming, or maybe just struggling really with a lot of hard things, and you're just like, but why? What's going on? Most of the time it's stuff that nobody knows.
Yeah, and you touched on so many things, and I have a whole list of things I wanted to really talk about, because we just talked about the stigma and everything like that, and we was actually just talking about it earlier. It's that when you talk about mental health, you're talking about if you tell someone I'm depressed, they like, well, what do you have to be depressed for? Or they're just they think that it's a quick fix, like I was joking around, like it's like kind of like he needs some milk, like you know what I mean, give him some milk and he'll be all right. Yeah, or something. They think you could just let's go get some drinks, like that'll be cool, but you're just gonna make it worse.
A lot of people equate depression with just sadness, and it's like, well, if you're depressed, then that means that you should be in a dark room crying your eyes out, thinking about harming yourself. And while that might be the reality for a lot of people, it's not necessarily the way that it manifests for most people. Like, for example, I was diagnosed with depression, but I'm a person that I'm not going to say I'm the most optimistic person, but I'm not someone who is in a corner crying my eyes out every 20 seconds. The way it manifests is completely different. To a lot of people, it's very physical. To a lot of people, it's very mental. I mean, it manifests in a lot of different ways, and that's why for a lot of people it's very difficult to come out and say, oh, I have this, because it manifests so differently for everyone. Everyone's mental health is unique and different.
And there's so many different types of depression.
Yeah.
And there's so many different types of mental illness. And it's funny because, like I said, why I was so compelled to have you here and speak about it, because there's a lot of things that people don't know even about me. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been dealing with depression for like the past 8 years. You know what I mean? I have what they call persistent depression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's in moments, like, but I've been dealing with it. It's like, no matter what, I can't, it's like, you know, and then I have low anxiety. So it's like a lot of things that people don't even know. And it's crazy because I tell people all the time, you know, when I did start telling people, like, you know, I'm depressed, they hit me with like, oh, well, why? Or you're not depressed. And it's just like, you're kind of being counterproductive to my health.
Yeah,
you
most people always say is,
like,
you have nothing to be depressed about.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, first of all, it's 2018. Do you follow the news? There's plenty to be depressed about.
You know what? Like, it's just, you know what else my issue was? It was like, I was dealing with so many things. I'm the type of person that, I have a pleasing problem. Like, so with me, it was like, I have such a fear of disappointment that it creates such an anxiety for me.
Yeah.
Like, it drives me crazy. The little things that people don't even think about. It's not even like, oh my God, am I going to get this job? No, it's little things like, am I going to make it to your birthday party? Can I do this when I get there? Like, if I can't do it, it will drive me insane. And it's like, I have to do it because I don't want you upset. But in doing that for you, I'm upset. You know, it's a lot. I can't even really put into words because, you know, it'll create anxiety. You know what I mean? But it's just like, and it's so funny because I never talk about it to anybody. This is like probably the first time anyone's really ever heard me say it. And
I'm
it's like,
honored.
and the reason I'm being 100% honest, because it was like, the reason why is because I'm watching a show and I'm like, I know her. Like, I know her.
Right.
And if this is somebody, this is my friend, and I know her, and you know, I know you had a couple issues and everything like that, but I never knew it was to that point.
Right.
But you being open to say it made me feel like, well, she understands not so much as she understands my struggle, because of course everything is different, but you understand.
Yeah.
You feel me? So it's not about being sad all the time. It's not about being lazy. It's not about being, you know, like, oh, whatever. Like, you're just over dramatic or whatever. It's like, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
And that was the motivation for me doing that, is that a lot of people talk about how there's so many people online and on the internet talking about how they have anxiety, depression, panic disorder. And a lot of people consider that as like, oh, well, people are just romanticizing that idea or making it like something quirky just to be relatable. But my thing is, well, first of all, I mean, this is something that is very real for a lot of people. And also, it's like you said, if I watch a video of somebody that I know, it might affect me and help me more than a video of somebody who might be saying the same thing, but I don't know who they are. Yeah. And I don't know what their reality is. Yeah. So it's like the same thing with like coming out videos. Like you see on YouTube, there's so many coming out videos. And you think, and people might think, but why are they, like, if there's one video, then that's enough. It's like, no, but this person is doing it for their group of people and their friends and their community, then might see that and be like, oh, I know who that person is. I relate to them specifically. Yeah. Therefore, I feel better about talking about my experience. And I feel like that's why it's so important for people to feel comfortable enough to be able to open up about their experience, because not only does that help you, but it also could help anybody else.
I mean, you never know who it could help. It's funny because also, like, I never really talk about it because I don't want to burden anybody with my problems. Yeah,
that's the anxiety talking.
And then, and then on top of that, it's like, I don't want anyone to then baby me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't want people to treat me like I'm delicate now. Like, I'm still me, but I just have these things going on. And I have my triggers, but you will never know. I've had full-blown anxiety attacks in front of people and nobody's ever known. Yeah. Like, full-blown, like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And nobody's ever known. And you know what I mean? Like, it was, you know, people like, oh, you're just excited, or it's just, no, I'm losing my fucking mind right now. Yeah. And
that's what I talked
I don't want to be like that.
Yeah, that's why I talked in one of my videos about how in mental health is a very, what I call it, like a very selfish disease, because it's very personal and only you and you alone can really know exactly what it is. So you kind of have to.
Funny when you said that, I was like, is it selfish though?
Well, selfish in the sense that like it's all about you. You know, like only you can really know exactly what you're going through and how you're feeling and what does it feel like, because you and I both can be having an anxiety attack at this moment, but the way that it manifests for you and the way it manifests for me is completely different. Yeah. And how we come off of it also can be very different. Yeah. So in that sense, that's why I call it like that, because you know, even if other people want to be involved in it, as much as you try to explain it to someone else, they'll never understand it. Ever. Even if they suffer it as well, they will never really understand how you go through it. And so in that sense, I consider it that.
Because when you said that, I was like, is this, like, I get what you're saying that it's selfish, but at the same time, I'm like, do we make it selfish? Because we don't. Probably. It's like, it's selfish because we don't want to burden anyone, and we don't want to have people around us act a certain way, but it's like, we're doing that. It's weird. I get what you're saying when it's selfish, but at the same time, I'm like, it's an issue. Yeah. It's a disease. It's an imbalance. It's things. So it's like, is it selfish, or this is just the disease? Like, this is just the mental issue that you have that's making it that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, makes any sense. I'm trying to, it's selfish, but at the same time, I feel like it's not so selfish. It's just a part of what it is.
Yeah, like the disease itself. I don't know if it's mean like you as a person that you're selfish. I believe it's more like the disease itself. That's very like it just asks everything of you.
Everything
without giving anything back.
And the thing about it is that, what's so crazy. Let me tell you what. It was funny. Now I could actually talk about it. I had a friend that was going through something and actually confessed to me like they was going to therapy. I didn't even tell him. It was like he was telling me, he confessing to me like, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to do this. And I was just so, how can I say? I was just so supportive of him choosing me to tell that to. Yeah. But I felt bad because it was like I wanted to be like, me too. And I felt like I missed, it was like so 50-50. And it made me have a freaking moment with myself, because I felt like I missed the opportunity to get support and be support. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if I told him I'm going through therapy too, and this is what I'm dealing with, I felt like I missed that opportunity to get that support, because if you're dealing with it, you can kind of be on the same level with it. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to take this moment from him, because he chose me to confide in. I don't want to make it about me. But then it was but then that right there made me have the worst breakdown. Because all I kept thinking about was I supportive enough? Did I miss my support? Was I being selfish? Was I not being selfish? How did it drove me crazy. Like, I had a full-blown, like, OCD moment. I obsessed about it for about 2 weeks.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it was so bad, and nobody knew. And that's the thing about it. And then to the point where I didn't even want to ask about it anymore, because, and I feel like I should ask about it, but then am I being invasive? It's crazy how it works. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. So then when I saw you did the week, I was like, oh, I'm going to talk to her. I have a friend. Yeah. I'm going to talk to her about it. But I mean, that's how that's just how the mind works. And I just felt like that's why I wanted to kind of bring you in here, because we talked about all these things. You talked about the levels, and you talked about, when you talked about the saboteur voice.
Yeah, I felt kind of weird always saying that word because it sounds so bougie. The saboteur.
Girl.
But it is a very, very real thing.
When I tell you, I gotta really go to her page. If you watch no video, you have to watch that video, because when I tell you I'm watching it in full tears, like, oh my gosh, she knows.
Oh, stop!
I'm so serious, because I was like, that is a big part of my problem. Yeah, a big part of it.
So for people who don't know what she's referring to, so I have a video which is the second day of my week, I believe. It's called The Saboteur, which is essentially talking about that voice in the back of your head. That is essentially, I believe, is the voice of the disease, is the voice of the mental health issue that kind of it's kind of like the dark to your light. So essentially, if you're in your head, you can just be like, oh, I'm really excited about doing da-da-da. That voice is going, but it's so much easier not to. But you can just stay here.
Or just, it tells you so many other things. Like, my thing was, like, even say, I'll even give you an example, like, for this show in general. It took so much for me to even get it started. Because I was like, I could do this. Like, everyone else is doing it. And I see people doing it. And I was like, it's not that hard to do. Like, I talk on my phone all the time. Yeah. So why can't I do this? And in the back of my head, it was like, but what if people don't watch it? What if you don't have nothing to talk about? What if you sound stupid? What if you look stupid on camera? And it took a lot. So when I finally just fought that and did it, it got even more like demonic. It was kind of like, you know what I mean? Because of course, as people who have YouTube pages know, everything starts slow. Yeah, very slow. It was like everyone's rallying behind you, like, yeah. And then when it came down to it, it didn't, the pace that was behind you is not there. It made me be like, well, maybe you shouldn't do this.
Yeah, it's very lonely because you don't get any feedback. You don't get anybody. There's no back and forth really. No.
But it is very convincing. Yeah, that voice has so many.
It has a lot of power, which is why it's so scary.
It has a lot of reasoning. Yeah, so much reasoning.
But the scary thing about that is that it's your own voice.
Yeah, it's your own.
It doesn't adopt a voice of a scary demon, because if it had like a really scary voice, maybe it would be easier for you to fight it and be like, oh, I know this is evil. But when it's your voice and it sounds just the same as your regular subconscious, and it's just telling you things in such a rational, normal way, you're just like, well, I mean, why wouldn't I follow
it's like
it?
You know, because it's funny, I think of the angel and the devil on your shoulder, but it's like two regular people on your shoulder.
Exactly.
And that's the part about it that I think that's so crazy, because when you even hearing us talk about it, people be like, you sound like you crazy. No, it's a part.
But you'll be surprised. You know, it's like a lot of people, you know, people that probably don't even know about it, they might hear this and go, oh shit, I know exactly what she's talking about.
I mean, it doesn't, and I mean, I need people to understand too that having depression or mental illness or something like that doesn't make you crazy. It doesn't make you abnormal. It doesn't make you like, it doesn't make you, how could I say? It doesn't change. It just, it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's hard. Yeah. For you personally, but it's not a bad thing. And I think it's so terrible that a lot of times we see stuff, especially like with Kanye and even things that people post on Instagram. It's like they love to record the breakdown. Yeah. But it's like, but they didn't talk about it. But it's like this person is having a breakdown. Yeah. Or even still, like, something's not right. Why don't we just have better methods of supporting or finding out? Because you're kind of antagonizing the situation. Meanwhile, you might have your own issues and you don't even know, because you're using that as a way to cover up your stuff, which a lot of people do with a lot of mental illness. Like, they kind of use things to cover up what they're doing.
Like humor. A lot of people tend to use humor for that.
You know, just some people just different things they do. You know, that kind of, and I'm guilty of that too. Yeah, I'm good to that too, because sometimes it's like I'll be cracking jokes and meanwhile it's like inside I'm just depressed.
The thing is that your brain creates these things to protect itself. Yeah. You know, it's coping mechanisms. I mean, first thing, I want to get rid of the word crazy. It's such...
some people crazy.
It's such a demeaning word.
Some people got to be called crazy, because some people's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on the situation, but it's
not
like,
if you're having like
if you right away you're just pinned with that, that you're crazy. Immediately, what you want to do is just back up and go, no, I'm playing. I ain't got that. Yeah. And then you just want to, you're gonna push back, and that's why with social media and the internet is such a difficult thing, because like you said, you see all these things on Twitter with celebrities and all this stuff they're going through, and you read that and you go, oh, okay, well, this person is obviously having this breakdown. Am I like this person? Because everybody hates this person. So if they hate them for going through what they're going through, are they going to hate me? And that's why a lot of people say that they're like, oh, that representation is not that big a deal. And it's like, well, it's just a celebrity. But it's not just about that. When you have a platform, like a lot of these people have, and you have millions of eyes and ears listening and looking at what you're doing, you're going to affect somebody. And it could be in a direct way.
You don't even have to be a celebrity. You could just be somebody.
Anybody. You know, the things that you say, a lot of times, they're going to affect someone. And when people like that, you know, they go online and they see all these people going, man, you crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. You just need to go to a loony bin and get away from people. Well, other people are going to see is, well, are they going to say that I need to go to a loony bin? And like, am I really that crazy?
That's a lot of the stigma behind it. You know, a lot of times, especially, and the thing about it too is that it comes from your center. You know what I mean? It comes from the people that you know, as opposed you know. Strangers are strangers. They don't know. Yeah, but it comes from a lot of people that you know. The funny thing, I laugh, and because I am in therapy. Nobody knows that, but I do go to therapy. And
big ups.
I was
for therapy. Big ups for therapy.
You don't even understand. And then I had to tell my therapist, and I was like, you know, the irony of this is that my job requires me to be the happiest person ever.
Oh my goodness.
When I'm in my job for half of my day, I have to be in the front. I have to be nice to people. I have to give the image of welcome. I have to be the fakest I can possibly be.
Pretty much, yeah.
On no matter what. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, like, genuinely, I am a nice person, generally, but my mood is not what I have to do.
Yeah.
And I have the hardest. To me, my job is the hardest job because not because of what I do, it's because of how I have to make it work.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking good at it. Like every time we have like the damn, you know, have the secret shoppers and shit like that. It's like 100% on the Greek, 100% on the Greek. And I'm like, does that make me fake? Like if then of course that creates anxiety because I'm like, I'm not myself. I have been to work where I have been in like I've had like breakdowns in the bathroom. Nobody knows. And I have to come out and they'll be like, hi, oh my God, how are you? Yeah. And I have to be nice to everybody I work with. I have to still keep this secret to myself. And it's hard. And I'm like, what does that say about me? You know what I mean? So then when I do that, it's like, if somebody, like, how could I say, if you see me being so happy at work and this is how you think I am, and then you find out this, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm depressed now. You're like, but you wasn't depressed at work.
Yeah, well, I mean, what it is that you're just a functioning human. You're a functioning human being who's trying to do a job, you know?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I don't think anybody should judge anyone for trying to do their job right, because at the end of the day, we all need to pay bills. Yeah, it is what it is.
You know what I mean? It's like you know, when people feel, they criticize heavy what they don't understand. I know a lot of what we're talking about is criticism because
yeah, pretty much.
But criticism is a lot of what keeps you in a bottle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I'm just like,
I mean, it's important to work towards. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but it really is just the power of not giving a fuck. You know, and there's a really good book that's called like that. Not giving a fuck, because. Okay, people are going to have criticism about you, right? They're going to say, oh, well, you were this, but now you're this. First of all, it's like, well, first of all, I mean, what does it really matter what that person thinks about how you're feeling? Because at the end of the day, what you're feeling and who you are is the reality. Their perception of it is irrelevant, you know? Because at the end of the day, they're not going to go home with you. They're not going to go to bed with you. They're not going to wake up with you. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, their perception, their reality is irrelevant to you. And you can't carry that with you, because that's just more shit that you're carrying with you that you don't need. You already have stuff that you're trying to deal with. And it's like, well, if you're happy at work, quote unquote, it's like, well, yeah, but because you're a host, that's what you're supposed to be. Like, you can't expect people. You can't be like, well, you can't expect me to not be happy, because guess what? I have bills to pay at the end of the month. And there is a reality. There is something to be said about fake it till you make it. And, you know, that whole thing about, you know, smiling through it, because it tricks your brain.
But you know what? But then I've already conditioned myself to be like, I hate that fake it till you make it. Like, I'm just like, work hard and make it. You know what I mean? Like, don't fake it till you make it. Just do what you got to do to get right.
Well, I guess it depends on what your definition is of faking it. Because when I mean faking, I don't mean being fake to people. I just mean faking the smile.
But I mean, but technically I am, because it's like, I'm not telling people. It's been times where I've been with groups of people and I am the life of the party and we just having a good time, or not even just I'm with you and then we're having a good time, and inside I am just going like I just want to sleep. I just want to lay down. You know what I mean? And I just want to deal with it. Also, it was like I had to kind of be real with myself. Yeah. Which is hard. Yes. And I was like, I had to be real with why a lot of things that I was attracting to myself was because of myself. Yeah. And that was really hard. I had to learn how to start saying no. I had to learn how to start saying, I ain't got it. I can't do it. Yeah. I had to learn how to say that. And it was so hard. And it's still hard because I'm fighting the voice. And I'm also fighting like oh my God, you know. And then I become obsessive about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's so many things that's going on. And I'm just like, you know. And then on top of that, you can't talk to nobody about it. Yeah. So it's like, what the hell do you do? So now we have all these things that we know, we talk about, we go into therapy, whatever. What are things that we could suggest to people that know us, that's around us, or you know anybody that has dealing with mental illness or has depression or something? Yeah. What could we possibly tell them, or what could be the message that we deliver them to be positively supportive?
Well, I did also upload a video talking about, but I made it more specific for like people who are like in a relationship with someone. So in that, but where it was kind of like, how would you deal with someone in your life, a significant other, a friend or whatever, that has mental health issues? But in a more general sense, I mean, the first thing is just learning how to not be judgmental about it. Because the minute that we're faced with judgment, that's when you close up and you're just like, nope. So if you can find yourself a way to not be judgmental about what it is that this person is telling you, and actually be open and listen to what they have to say, it could make a world of difference. Because what you have to understand is, for those of you who don't have mental health issues, congrats. Salute. Is that it probably took us a long, painful time to get to the point to tell you what we're going through. Like even if it was like a small part.
It's been 8 years.
Right, exactly.
8 years.
So, you know.
And it took me a minute it took me like probably, I want to say probably like 2 years prior to that to realize what was going on. Yeah. Because like you were saying, I had the whole like, am I just being lazy? Yeah. Or, you know, like, you know, am I really, like, can I do better? Or is this what, my whole thing too was, is this what it is? You know what I mean? Like, is this what it is? I know, like, I have so many talents. Not to brag on myself, but I know I'm good at a couple things. You know what I mean? I'm very creative. So at one point, I took it to a place with creative minds, and, you know, we're all just so cluttered and stuff like that. But it was really because it was easier for me to just be like, no. You know what I mean? Than to actually sit there and focus and get this, you know, going. Yeah. You know, and for probably like 2 years prior to that, I just took it for that's what it is. And then when I realized something was wrong, because no matter what I did different, I was still coming out with the same feelings. You know what I mean? Like the heaviness feeling you talk about. And it was just really bad at one time. And I felt like something's wrong, because I'm really feeling like I'm getting to the bottom, and I'm at the bottom, but I can't get out, like, no matter what I did. Yeah. And then I saw somebody, and then I saw them for probably like a couple months, and I was just like, I think I'm good. Yeah. I think I'm good, like, you know, but you don't realize you have to be consistent, and it's really work that you have to put in. Yeah. So, but nobody knew. Nobody. Like, I think you're probably like, nobody knows about that. You know what I mean? And my mom just found out I was going to therapy like 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, nobody knew.
That's the hardest, is to break it down to your family. Yeah. Especially to your parents if you're close to them, because immediately their mind is going to go to, what did I do wrong? Yeah, exactly. You know, was this something that I did? Did I mess you up or whatever?
Yeah, it was hard because my mom is, like, my mother is very, like, how can I say? My mother raised me strong. Yeah. You know what I mean? My mother's a very strong woman. she raised me with the you get it done mentality. Yeah. That's why I'm so, it drives me crazy when I can't get it done, because I was raised like that.
Yeah.
So if I can't do it, I've never known my mom to say I can't do it. You know, I always tell people all the time, like, I got literally, not once again, not to brag, I got everything I wanted as a kid, because my mom would be like, if you can't get it today, 2 weeks I'll have it, because she would figure out how to get it.
Yeah.
And when I grew up, that was my mentality, like, I'm going to figure out how to make this happen, which sometimes you just got to be like, I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the strain you put on yourself, eventually will tear you apart.
Yeah, is that you're trying to avoid that sense of disappointment towards yourself.
So when I did tell my mom, I'm depressed. She was like, you're not depressed. We have to be depressed about.
Yeah.
So it made me be like,
yeah,
these things don't mean anything. You know what I mean? Because if you take them away, I'm still going to feel how I feel.
Yeah.
And it was just like, she kind of was like, whoa, why? And I had no answers.
Yeah.
I had no answers. Same. And then it made me feel guilty. Mm-hmm. It's a whole entire mindfuck, but it was hard. And then we finally got through it, you know, to the point where I was like, you can come with me, you know. But, you know, she just kind of was just like, no, you know, you deal with your situation yourself. And if you need me, then I'm going to do it. But then once again, it's not spoken about anymore.
Yeah, I feel like that's very much from it's like, our parents, like.
Yeah, like, you're dealing, it's not spoken about anymore. Yeah. And I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to do what you said. I didn't want to bring that level of, well, maybe it's making her feel guilty, or maybe she feels like she didn't do enough. As maybe I didn't want to feel like I was degrading her parenting skills.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so. But at the same time, you can't put that on yourself, because that's on her. That's not on you, you know? And yeah, and I get it.
That's my OC.
Like, I'm saying it, but I get it.
It's like, yeah, you know what I mean. It's like I said, it's like you don't want to do it, but then I will literally just go for weeks obsessing about it.
But then it would be a good idea then for your mom to go with you because of that, because you could tell the therapist, well, I want my mom to be involved in this, and this would go for anybody who, again, is living with someone in that situation, because it's the same thing with my husband. He goes with me to therapy because it's the same thing. They go through the same thing with the whole guilt thing. It's like, well, is there something that I should have been doing? Is it my fault? What can I do? And because mental health, what we're going through, is such a personal thing, it's so inward, there's nothing physical or nothing that can be done. To a lot of people who are with somebody like that, it can be very frustrating, because they're just like, I don't know how to fix you.
What to do.
I have no control over this situation. And especially for partners, it might be like, well, I don't know what I can do to make you feel better. Am I supposed to talk to you? Am I supposed to touch you? Am I supposed to, like, what am I supposed to do? And it can become very frustrating. So if your partner is going to therapy, it's always a good idea to go with them, or your friend or daughter, son, whatever, go with them, just so that you can also have an idea of what's going on. Because it's like I said before, no man is an island. Nobody in this world is conditioned or prepared to deal with all of the things that comes with being a human. Yeah. You know, everything in life is very difficult. Even if you have money and you have a great job and whatever, there's always going to be something that's going to come at you that you have no control over and that you don't know how to deal with. And if you have an issue, the way that you deal with things might be not so healthy, you know? That's why people turn to alcohol, people turn to drugs, people turn to violence, people turn to hurting themselves, because it's better to do this one thing than dealing with the pain of this other thing. So
it takes the attention off of it.
Yeah, so for me, it's always like, you know, if you have somebody that's dealing with something, don't judge them. Listen to what they have to say. The only solution that you should be offering is for them to get help. You shouldn't take that role yourself and be like, oh, well, I'm going to tell you what to do because you don't know.
A lot of people do that.
You're not a professional.
That's why I'm like, okay, friends and family, like, what should you do with somebody that, you know, and then don't change.
Right. Don't treat them differently.
Don't treat them differently. Like, that is one of the biggest issues I had. Like, don't change. Don't be like, you okay?
Yeah, like giving you like pity eyes and stuff.
Like they're looking at you like, she's sad today. Yeah. And I have gas. Like I'm not like I'm not sad. Like my stomach hurts. I have cramps. I don't want to talk to you right now. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Or you have a moment. It's like, listen, I'm hungry. Like, you know
oh my goodness. And it's like, it's kind of like the same way how when with us women, it's like when we have our periods, everything is about that. Yeah. It's like not everything is about depression. I could be upset about something.
Dumb. Like,
you know,
you're stupid. Okay, you put salt in the Kool-Aid. I'm mad at that. Like, you know? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, I'm upset right now because of that. It's not always because of what's going on. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like 9 times out of 10, you won't even know when you're having a moment because of your mental issue. You won't even know. So it's not. That's why I'm like, don't change. Don't be different. If someone confides in you, just be there. My thing too is like, just be an ear. Just be an ear sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you want to help. I get it, but sometimes helping is just listening and. You know, give the tissues when you cry. You know, cry with the motherfucker. Like me and my best friend, we cry all the time. Yeah, she don't even know why. We just cry all the time. You know what I mean? And it's just like, just be that. Be there. Don't no. Give them some milk. Like no, you know, we gonna get you some.
Unless
drinks.
They want milk, I don't know.
I mean, unless
Maybe
you want milk,
like
you know what I mean? I mean, listen, I'll take a quality hookah and drink date. You know, but it's not gonna help me feel better. But if you want to give that to me.
Hey, I mean,
I'll be happy. Listen. I'll be good for a couple hours or whatever. But you know what I mean? But it's not the quick fix. And I just feel like, you know, just be supportive and don't make people feel crazy. Don't make them feel like, you know, you can't talk to them or you don't want to be around them. Because at the end of the day, you knew yesterday. You didn't know yesterday and you was good. You know, now you know today, and it's like you're dealing with a completely different person. Meanwhile, we're doing the same shit we did yesterday. You feel me? So it's like, I just think if somebody chooses you to really confide in, because a lot of times you choose people. Yeah, of course. You know, just be an ear. Yep. Just be there. You know what I mean? Like,
don't give crazy faces. Don't be like,
don't be like, what? When that happened? Damn.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know that.
Most of the time, like when I'm feeling anxious, a lot of times all I need is just to talk about it. Because sometimes when I talk about it and I listen to myself, I'm like, oh damn, that was stupid as hell. I feel better. Like I just need to let it out. Yeah. So if you're gonna, you know, try to fix me and try to be like, oh, I want to make you better, you might not let me get that release, even if might be just talking, maybe just crying and not saying anything. You know, you never know. People have different releases. So if you try to block that, it might be even worse for that person. And best believe that you will never hear from that person again.
Ever. I had a situation where I was I was trying to confide in somebody, and he took it and kind of like made it about him, and then like just basically he took my moment from me. Yeah. And it hurt me so bad. Like I was so in a sensitive place when I was telling this, you know, getting it out. And he took that from me, and it just made me be like, I will never talk to you about anything else again. And I don't. I'm more animate about that than anything. I will never confide in you, and I haven't, because it just didn't, you know, work. That's why when my friend decided to confide in me, I made the decision to just listen. Yeah. Even though, like I said, I obsessed about it for 2 weeks, because I'm like, did I miss the opportunity to have, you know, my support buddy, but I didn't want to take it from him, and da da da. But I just did what I felt in that moment was good, and I was just an ear, you know, just like, you know, yeah. Good job. I'm glad you're seeing someone. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course. And that was what was important. Like, I think it's also people, black people, Spanish people, ethnic people. I'm sorry. Therapy is great. Therapy works. Stop being afraid to sit down and talking to somebody. Sitting around your friends with a bottle is not therapy. Okay, it's not. Go speak to somebody that has nothing to do with nothing, that is a trained professional and knows how to handle the situation. We have such a stigma against therapy, and we think that we can just go and just walk the problems away. No.
Yeah, we're so conditioned as people of color to keep things to ourselves, because especially I believe also in the black community, I believe that people are so trying to fight that angry stereotype of like, I'm an angry black woman, I'm an angry black man. and they're trying to fight that so much that they keep all this. Maybe it's not even anger, but it just translates that way. But whatever it is, they keep it until it becomes a breaking point, because
and then you look crazy.
Because you're always told that you're not supposed to be a certain type of way because people are going to look at you some type of way. And it's like, it's bullshit. Just go get help from someone who is not somebody that you know, because a third party, somebody who's a professional who doesn't know you, is going to give you actual advice that is going to actually work for you. Because if you just talk to a friend or a family member, what's going to happen is you're going to dump your problems on someone who already has problems. So you're going to mess them up. And they're gonna mess you up because they're gonna tell you your problems too. Because people don't listen with their ears; they listen with their mouth.
And people pick apart what they want to choose to hear.
Exactly.
So and then on top of that, sometimes you tell people, and then like they're gonna pick they're not gonna tell you the truth. They're gonna tell you things to make you tell you what you want to hear. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're awesome. You're special. I know somebody like that who they need to seek help, and they can't because the people around them is like, you're good. You're awesome. You're great. No. They need to go and sit down and talk to somebody, because a part of them is not awesome. A part of them is not great. They do need help. They do need to see somebody. Yeah. And that's what really made me be like, because I knew my mother was going to tell me, you're okay. You're good. You'll be fine. You want to go on a trip? Like, you want some shoes? Like, I knew it was going to be that. So I had to really seek somebody on, and thank God I did, because it helps me, even though I still have my problems, I'm still working through it. It helps me recognize it. It helps me recognize when
and
this
it feels
is
so good when you have a breakthrough and you realize something that might have been the stupidest thing, but when you realize it and it comes out of your mouth and it makes sense in your brain, you're like, oh my God, everything makes sense.
A lot of things stem from things that I didn't even know was bothering me.
Yeah.
A lot of my problems was because
you figure out a lot of things from not even your childhood, but just like who you are as a person that you didn't even know, and you're just like, oh shit, that makes sense why I'm this way, and why things worked out the way they worked out, and
why you end up dating certain people,
why you get certain jobs, people react to you certain ways, why you react to people certain ways, like you find out a plethora of things that you didn't even know existed. And the good thing about that is that now that it's there and you can see it and you recognize it, now you can start knocking them down one by one.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like,
it feels good, man.
It's awesome. So it's like, I really just want to stress the point of just being positively supportive and being the person that, that encourages the therapy, encourages the forward movement when the person's going through something. Don't just, let's go drink.
Yeah,
I say that because clearly that's what was going. Let's go get some drinks, girl. You be all right. Like, no, I need to cry, and just have you listen to me.
If people are concerned about money, because a lot of people, obviously therapy is not cheap for those who don't have insurance. Even with insurance, a lot of times, like you have to reach a certain deductible and then they pay you back or whatever. So for those
80% of my shit.
Yeah, so if you can't come out of pocket, I mean, there's a lot of other options. There's a lot of people who are very religious, they get counseling through church. Church provides free counseling. There's, AA meetings. Normally a lot of people think that that's only for drug abuse and alcohol, but it is not. There are many groups for many different people, and most of them are free. If you're young and you're going to college or high school, talk to your counselor. Your counselor can help you out. Hopefully they're good and they're not just somebody who's trying to collect a paycheck. But if you can't talk to your parents, hopefully if you're young, you can talk to your parents. But if you can't,
and your parents can help you find somebody if
it's
received properly.
If they're not idiots, but if they are, hopefully you can get a counselor that can help you. There's a lot of over the phone help. The Trevor.com is a project. Trevor Project is an online and over the phone for people who are suicidal and they need help. There's a lot of different things. On my website and the videos that I uploaded, I provided links for websites and phone numbers for people who maybe have children.
Give them the website.
Get ready with Emmy.com. YouTube and Instagram. So there's help out there.
Yeah.
If you're looking for it, you're going to find it.
Yes.
I know a lot of people money is going to be one of the excuses that your saboteur is going to give you. It's going to be like, you ain't got money for that girl. You got to pay these bills.
You don't have time.
You don't got time.
You have time.
Yes, you do.
You have time.
Yes, you do. You have time for yourself. You're gonna say that you don't have time for yourself. That makes no sense.
Yeah, it's funny. Before we get out of here, I had to really stop and really get my shit together because I was on there like, when am I gonna find the time? Like, I work this time, my hours are crazy. I got everything going on, and I was like, when am I gonna find the time? But then I was one day sitting down, no lie, I'm sitting down, I'm watching My 600-Pound Life. As I'm watching My 600-Pound Life, I'm eating. Because part of my situation made me, what is it called? You eat to.
Yeah.
So
Girl, I know.
I'm eating, and I'm judging. So I'm sitting here like, how do they let themselves get like that? As I'm eating, as I'm watching this, and I'm like, as I realize I gained 15 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I just spent a whole 3 hours watching this marathon when I could have been talking to somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then I cried about it.
A lot of people
got up and I'm like, okay.
A lot of doctors work till late. My therapist is working until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, mine too. And that's what made me, so I really went out and and if you have a therapist, and also if one doesn't work, don't give up.
Oh yeah.
That's another thing. Like sometimes you sit with somebody. Sometimes a lot of people go to the wrong doctor. They go to psychiatrists.
Yeah.
And, they help you figure out your problems on your own. When sometimes you want somebody to kind of give you a little bit of feedback. So you want to see a psychologist. So it's a difference. And it's just different. Don't be afraid to test out different doctors. Speak to different people until you find your comfort zone. The same way we have friends and we learn friends. We meet people. I don't like the motherfucker. I ain't talk to him. Like, when you see somebody, you be like, girl, we best friends. Treat that like this because this is you. This is you at the end of the day. So it's about taking care of you. So I know we could talk hours and hours and hours about this, you know what I mean? And I know we really just touched the surface of everything, but I do want to once again thank you for creating that week and really just putting the effort and the research and everything into it because I know it's a lot of people. I mean, hell, you got me like, I'm a friend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it made me have a little bit of courage to be honest and just outwardly say what is going on. And you know what I mean? That I needed that because I never talk about it. And I'm pretty sure other people feel the same way who you never even know who you might have touched or who you might even touch now or even this show. So I do want to thank you for that because, you were just glamorous. It's like, bitches, put the makeup down. Let's talk about something else.
I still have my lashes on, girl. Don't get it twisted.
So I saw you was beat to the gauze. You was like, yes,
that's right.
Get into this face. Anyway, let's talk about it. And it was I was cracking up like, yes, how makeup is on.
Yeah.
But yes, I do want to thank you for that because I think that's really important in the days and the times of everything that's going on in this world. We need to kind of really shine a light on that to even just get a grip before it happens, before you get to that point to know and recognize the signs. So I want to thank you for that.
No problem.
So
my pleasure. And if anybody that's watching this on YouTube wants to see maybe a part 2 or more of conversation about this, make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below.
Tell them what it is. Tell them what it is. Tell them what it is. Tell them the link. Tell them the page.
It's okay, real.
Yo, I wish I could do that. Like, my Bronx didn't come in that well. I just got the hood shit.
Girl.
I didn't get the roll tongue thing. Anyway, but I want to thank you, Noemi, for coming in.
Thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure.
And make sure you guys check out her page, Get Ready with Emmy. Subscribe. She has tons of makeup tips. And also make sure you do check out her mental wellness week. It's freaking amazing. Also, you can email me at I don't even know where the hell I am. at okrealquick@gmail. Make sure you check out the Instagram page at okrealquick. And also hit like and subscribe to this page. I mean,
it's free.
Hello.
Ain't nobody charging you. If you watch this whole thing, you should subscribe.
Oh, shit.
That's all I got to say.
We
got to go.
Bye.
We got to go. Bye.
I'm like, oh, this the new.
It's that new.
Even the mic was like depressed. Like,
that's fucked
I have a friend.
Yo, I need to take a hit of this rosé.
Yo, we just forgot about Crystal.